Hello, folks. Hopefully you're doing well. You can see the Christmas background. Christmas has come to the Northern household. I don't know if it's just me, but you can tell me if it's you as well. As soon as the December days get into the double digits, the 10th onwards, that's when I start getting Christmassy. That's when I start when I actually feel it. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's Christmas, and we're heading into that time of year again when we're going to be doing some hobby nightmares. I'm aware that there were less hobby nightmares last week. We only did one on Monday. That's because I'm trying a new format of videos, and I have a lot of other things to talk about on the channel to do with 40k lore and my opinions on it and my takes on it and things like that I've not really done before. I've stoically tried to remain with hobby nightmares all the way through because simply, I enjoy reading them. But also I enjoy talking about 40k lore as well, and those videos have done really well, so thank you for supporting those videos, and the change in thumbnail tack that I've taken with them as well. Thank you for that, you've been absolutely amazing, and I will be doing more this week too. This week's will be, let me just get them on screen now, we're doing one with the Lion, and we are doing one with, I think, Lehman Russ, because as far as I'm concerned, we have this video coming this week. The Lion in 40k is a bit of a joke. That will be tomorrow. This one is really close to my heart, simply because I'm a big Dark Angels fan, and the Lion so far has not been treated very well in 40k, let's just say. And then next week, we'll be doing another one, or I might do it on Thursday, depending on if you're good little boys and girls or not. We'll see what we're doing next week. Maybe that Lehman Russ is ruined by awful writers. And another video we've got in the pipeline. Again, lots of different things. I've been threatening to do this one for a long time, as you all know. And that is Wrestling and 40k. Wrestling and 40k are the same. We'll be doing that pretty soon as well over the coming weeks. So lots of different content coming to the channel. I will be keeping up with Hobby Nightmares, of course, all the way through. We'll be doing at least one or two videos of Hobby Nightmares every single week. Just wanted to give you a state of the channel address before we get started with today's video. Minimaker, our main channel sponsor as well, is also doing some awesome deals over there on their website if you want to go check them out. They're doing great work over there, and my missus is really enjoying her new Santa Claus dwarf. I'm going to be taking some pictures of that over the next few days, and yeah, it's going to be absolutely awesome. They are doing Trench Crusade at the moment over there. There is tons of stuff over there. It's a limited time only. One more week of that deal to get yourself some Trench Crusade over there. It's in the comment description down below. And use the promo code Northern Exile at checkout. Get yourself 10% off. Worldwide shipping for $10. What more can I say? Right, moving on. Hobby Nightmares. Let's jump in. Sorry, I needed to do that State of the Union address there, simply because people have been saying, why did you only do one Hobby Nightmares last week? Well, that's the reason why. We had lots of other things going on that we needed to talk about. Anyway, moving on. We didn't do Feels Friday on Friday, so we will be doing a bit of a Feels one in this episode too. So it might be a longer episode, we'll see. Alright, Ed is up first. How's it going, Ed? And he says, hey North, long time listener here. Thanks for all the great content. You're welcome, man. I figured I would share some stories about my time playing 40k with a rather controversial figure, Edward Snowden. Feel free to use my real name, which is also Ed. Really? Really? You played 40k with Edward Snowden? What? Okay, for those of you who don't know, this is an NSA whistleblower. This is a guy who got into really big trouble back in the day. I think he's still in trouble, isn't he? Isn't he? No, is he okay now? I don't know what he's up to these days. But he worked for the NSA and blew open a lot of things, and a lot of things in America in terms of being not like that. But no, I mean like as in news, and he opened a lot of stuff. Basically a deep throat figure. That sounds really awful. He also went to the University of Liverpool, where I teach, which I'm guessing not a lot of you knew as well, even though he's American. Alright. I've been playing 40k since mid-2nd edition, when 3rd edition came out. I was in high school at the time in Baltimore, Maryland area, and I discovered that several of my friends at school also played. When I was a junior, 1998, I began hosting mega battles at my dad's house, where my friends would bring over all their models, and we would play games that were like 5,000 points a side or something. This was before Apocalypse was released, so it was a bit unwieldy to say the least, yeah. One time, my best friend, let's call him John, asked if he could bring a friend from his old neighbourhood over to play, and I agreed. Lo and behold, he showed up with his friend, Eddie, who played Dark Angels. I've got, dude, this has got to be satire. There's no way Ed Snowden, the revealer of secrets, is a Dark Angels player. Like, come on. Thus began a friendship that lasted until Snowden left for his ill-fated enlistment in the military in the early 2010s. Eddie was what we called a beardy player back in the day, or a WAAC player today. There was no such thing as a narrative game with him. It was always balls to the wall all the time. His favourite list was the Dark Angels Plasma Cannon spam list, which was pretty wild back in the day. He would always have 20 plus plasma cannons in his list, which not only did a lot of damage, but also took a long time to resolve because each one used a small blast template. Oh my god. At one mega battle, Eddie wiped out one of the other players' army in the first shooting phase, to include his brand new fresh painted Wraith Lord. This guy, Eric, just had to sit there whilst Eddie removed all of his models off the board, his face getting redder and redder and redder as the phase went on. Finally, his last model, the Wraith Lord, died and he lost it with a monstrous... Can I say that right now? Yeah. With a monstrous... Fuck! He picked up his Wraith Lord and threw it full force at my basement wall, sending metal pieces everywhere. He was so mad, he left and went home. Eddie just laughed, looked around and said, who's ready for the assault phase? Okay. It checks out. It checks out. I don't know. I would think Edward Snowden would be this kind of a guy, yeah. Do you know what I mean? Not a bad guy. Just a really, really crunchy player, right? A lot of these dudes with high IQs, a lot of these dudes who go, you know, I've known, they go one or two ways, right? The smartest man I know is a man called Matt. Now, Matt has 10 intelligence and like 3 wisdom, you know? Out of 10, right? 10 intelligence, 3 wisdom. You know, he's all heart. He's such a good guy. Very, very, very smart. Physicist, data analyst, that kind of thing. But he plays 40k like it's backgammon. Like he's just having a laugh, right? He'll literally just play it for the fun of the game. Now, he'll do some decently good things, you know, like he'll try and beat you, but he doesn't cheese it, he doesn't like, go mental. And as I said before, he's the kind of player who's so smart. I've had to tell him not to do this, because I just don't enjoy it, but he's so smart that after like turn 1, maybe at the start of turn 2, we can see how it's going in turn 2, he will know who's going to win the game. He'll play it out in his head, run all the variables of the dice, how they're going to roll, and think about all the variables that are in a 40k game, right? He'll do all of those, and he'll say, I think you're going to win, so I'm going to shake hands there. He'll try and do that. Like, literally, like, turn 2. Sometimes. He'll be like, yeah, you're going to win this. You know, I've told him, mate, I know you know that, but, you know, and I know he's not right every time. Even he said, like, 1 time in 5, I'll be wrong. And a new variable will come up that I haven't thought of, or the dice will just roll in a weird way, and I'll be wrong. But most of the time he's right, and I've told him just to stop doing that. Stop looking forwards in time with your mind. It's not fun for me, it's not fun for you. Or if you do it, keep it to yourself, right? So he's that kind of a dude. But for all of the brains he's got, he plays in a very fluffy way, right? He's a happy lad who just wants to see things blow up on the tabletop, right? That's one style of dude. But there is another style of dude who is very similar. Very high intelligence, very middling to low wisdom. Who will be the crunchiest player you've ever come across in your entire life. Those are the two extremes. You either have the guy with a mega brain who uses it for good, or a guy with a mega brain who uses it to absolutely beast on everybody. Ed Snowden in this Hobby Nightmare seems like that second type of dude with a mega brain, right? He's very smart, and he uses it to absolutely annihilate his opponents rather than actually using it to have a good time. Anyway, despite having no issues ruining other people's games with his beardiness, Eddie was not one who took a loss well himself. One time I managed to beat him with my Chaos Space Marines. After the game he said, "I hope you get killed by a drunk driver on your way home." At the time, I wasn't sure if he was joking. He also stopped talking to me for a week. Yeah, that's a pretty shitty thing to say. Like, I wonder if he's around anywhere. Obviously, he's not gonna, like, you know, be watching the videos. But if you are, email me and let me know. Alright. You might be asking, why would you continue to hang out with a person like that? I was thinking that, yeah. To be honest, I'm not sure. Guys do this all the time. Like, this guy is a dick, but I've got no other friends, so I guess I'm just going to put up with it, you know? Do you know what, lads, do you know how to know you're doing well in life? It's when you can let friends go. Right? That's when you know you're doing well. I know that sounds weird, I will explain. Alright. If you're in a stage in life where you have enough friends or enough good people around you that you can see in your life that there's somebody who just makes you feel bad every time you speak to them, you recognize that pattern and you say, do you know what? I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to be friends with this guy anymore. The minute you can do that, the rest of your life must be good. Because us, as men, we're not lone wolves. And I know a lot of people like to think they are. Men aren't lone wolves. We stick together in packs, right? We are that kind of, you know, we are. You'd love to think you're the stoic guy walking outside the cave on his own. No man can do that, right? When there's lions prowling on the savannah, you're not that kind of guy. None of us are. We are all there to protect our families. You band together and you go out and you take on the threats that are out there. That's who we are, right? So if you have that many people around you who you can rely on, you can turn to somebody like this and say, no, I'm done. Then your life's going well. Your life's going well. And if you do have the bravery to do this, even if you don't have many friends, then I doff my hat to you, sir, because that is a brave thing to do. You're doing the right thing, but, you know, well done for having the mental fortitude to actually push through with it. Anyway, he says, to be honest, I'm not sure why I was still friends with him. Maybe it was because outside of gaming, he was actually a very nice and charismatic guy. It's just when any kind of competitive activity came around, whether it was Warhammer, video games, or role-playing games, he would go overboard with the competitive attitude. Did I mention he also always wore leather pants? Weird. At least you can hear him coming. Not in that way. Or maybe he's wearing leather pants. We were fortunate enough we were fortunate enough to have the US Games Workshop headquarters at the time very close to us in Glen Burnie, MD, which had an attached battle bunker where you could play games. One day, a few weeks before Games Day 1999, the store held a trivia contest. The prize was going to be the privilege of representing the store at a parade of banners at Games Day that year, carrying the store's contribution, a Dark Angels chapter banner. Our friend group ended up winning the contest. We decided we were going to go all out and show up in costume. I need to show you this costume. You would not get away with this costume these days, right? Are you ready? You ready? Okay, we're on screen. and I think you can see Ed Snowden in this picture. I think you can see him. I think he's there holding the banner. I think that's him. I may be wrong. Well, that's incredible. That's incredible. You would not get away with this costume these days. I'm going to take a quick sip of tea. If you're on your phone, or you're driving the lorry or truck, maybe park it and have a look at the screen right now. Yeah, you would not get away with this these days. That is especially in the south, right? If you go to like Memphis or somewhere, or like, you know, not even there. You go to like Alabama and you wear, it's just It's a spicy costume you got on there. I'm assuming you put that costume on when you got to the venue, rather than actually walking around the Midwest in in this get-up. Or even in the Midwest? Where are you from? Maryland. So no. You're dude. Maryland. Oh no. Baltimore. Oh no. Oh no. You can't wear this. No. No. Don't wear this in Baltimore, man. I've seen The Wire. No, dude. Your last 3 seconds. Oh. Anyway. All right. We made some white robes. Yes, I can see. And carried the banner around the game hall the whole weekend as the watchers in the dark. Games Workshop thought we were pretty awesome, and the only people at the con in costume, and snapped our picture for White Dwarf, where we appeared several months later. In fact, they liked us so much that the next year they announced another banner parade, and this time the participants would make their own banners and costumes, which would also be a part of the judging. Games Workshop reached out to us specifically and asked if we would participate. Eddie and I gathered the gang and decided we were going to try to get into White Dwarf 2 years in a row, and got to planning our entry. We ended up coming up with our own guard regiment, the Lastrati 25th, the Hive Dragons. And we would go in costume as a command squad. We worked hard for several months on our banner and costumes, and were super pleased with how everything turned out. Looking back, it looks super bad compared to today's cosplay, but hey, we were just a bunch of kids who did this all on our own. Dude, I had no idea Eminem played Warhammer. Like this, that's crazy. He's there as well! Ed Snowden again. The guy's not bullshitting. He's there as well. This is crazy, man. What is it about Christmas on the Northern Exile channel where we get these crazy, crazy... I think everybody at the end of the year sort of takes stock of their lives, you know, and thinks back. And that's why we get so many good episodes around December. Every time. So many of these come in that are just mind-boggling. There he is, as Commissar. My God, you weren't bullshitting. Right next to Slim Shady. Right? Right next to Slim Shady. But it also shows, in all seriousness, the lost innocence of the hobby, you know? I know you say it looks shitty now compared to how things are these days. I'd rather have this. I'd rather have a bunch of lads slapping a bunch of cardboard on themselves and pretending to be Space Marines than all of the faux, professional, styrofoam, mechanical, tits out, e-girl nonsense that we have now, right? We used to pay those girls to be in booths at these things, you know, and we knew what they were, right? They were just there at gaming conventions, right? Now, don't get me wrong. Girls and cosplay, awesome, by most part, you know? But you're starting to see it now where that e-girl stuff's starting to seep in a little bit, so the tits are coming out, the arse are coming out. Dude, I'm taking my kid to see a Warhammer convention. It's my daughter, right? I don't want her seeing a young lady marching around with her tits and her front lips hanging out, right? I don't want to see that. I don't want her seeing that. I don't want her thinking that's a normal thing to do. You know, if you're in a booth somewhere and you're paid to be there, I know where you are and I can avoid you, right? And I know the kinds of games you'll be representing if you're at a gaming convention, so I'll avoid you. But like, if you're just striding around the hall with your tartars hanging out, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, not for me. Not with my daughter there. And you know, I'd much prefer seeing a bunch of passionate lads and ladies walking around in amateur costumes that they spent time and passion creating than a really hot woman walking around in something made for her by committee, by the company which she represents, or by some dude she hired, or maybe even she made it herself. But like, if you know, that loss of innocence is really where the hobby is for me, and it sucks, man. It really sucks. Again, no problem with chicks in costumes, even like tight fitting. Yeah, go for it. Sisters of Battle, yeah, no problem. It's the more pictures I see now, you know, of girls. Again, being on YouTube, you will see it walking around with everything hanging out. It ain't the place. It's still a family event, even if 40k is grimdark, right? It's still a family event. So, how the they get away with it. I don't know, but you know, it's what it is. I noticed that the official Games Workshop stuff, you don't really see it, but when you go to like other cons, where there's like Warhammer representation, that's when you see it. That's when you see it. Much harder to police. Games Workshop, I would like to think, would come down on that shit like a ton of bricks. But this is the kind of thing I'd love to see. Make a comeback. This kind of innocence. This kind of like, hey, it's the dudes. It's the dudes. Like, we're a bunch of dudes from the same place, and we're having some fun, right? Games Day arrived at last, and we wandered the hall all weekend, inspiring the troops with battle cries, and several summary executions. As the third War for Armageddon campaign was going on, and they did an all-weekend mega battle at the event. When the time came for the costume contest, we went up on the stage with a bunch of other participants, and ended up winning. Our prize was the first ever Land Raider Crusader off the assembly line, signed by the White Dwarf team, including Paul Fatbloke Sawyer, Rick Priestley, and others. Dude, there's a picture of it as well. Dude, the nerd cred this guy has. The nerd cred. This is insane. This is insane. Wow. Wow. Okay. We also once again graced the pages of White Dwarf a few months later. I've attached several photos to the back of this story, including of us watchers in the dark in White Dwarf. Snowden is to the left of the banner with his head down. Alright, so he's not holding the banner in that one, right, okay. Us as the Guard Command Squad. I'm the Commissar, and Snowden is the banner bearer in the dark robe. Alright, I was the wrong one, okay. Cool. And the Land Raider itself. Sadly, we all graduated high school that year, and while we all went to Games Day together for several years after, we did not have the time to make a banner or go in costume. But the costume and banner contest lived on until Games Day Baltimore was cancelled several years later. Hope you enjoyed the story. Alright, cheers, man. That was awesome. I love that. That was really special. Thank you for sending that in. And I don't know how we're going to top that. Right. It's time for Friday Feels that have made their way into Monday's episode. So if you're just here for pure hobby, you may leave now. The next part of this video will be Friday Feels content. So if you want to reminisce about life or mental stuff or triggering things, stick around. I don't think this gets too serious. It's more of a general advice about this guy's girlfriend and stuff. It's very Pirate King. It's a shorter version of Pirate King. Our next Hobby Nightmare. So if you're up for a bit of that, let me know. It's from Beans. How's it going, dude? He says, "Hey North, I hope all is well with you. I'm very sorry to bother you, as I am sure you're personally busy with your own issues and life in general, but this has been building for a long time, and I honestly do not know who to go to for advice. It has taken me a whole year to write this down. I'm sorry for the long story. It's not that long. I just thought I would do my best to highlight the entire situation. I tried to shorten things down as best I could without missing major details. I just didn't want you to have to read a full essay on my problems. Around December of 2023, I met my current girlfriend Cass, who was and is family friends of my friend Mike's wife. We hit it off and have been dating for the last 2 years now, as of the 7th of January 2026. Alright, it'll be our full 2 years together as boyfriend and girlfriend. Over this time, a lot has happened. I switched my job, lost my entire best friend group, and honestly, have been feeling in a rut since I switched jobs. Context on the story is as follows. I went from a full salary position of $100,000 a year to a fully commissioned role as a mortgage broker. I'm not sure if you are familiar with the mortgage industry, but from what I understand, it's relatively similar to the UK as it is to Canada, where I live. I started that job on one of the major banks when I was 22 years old. I had not even graduated yet at the time and managed to get in due to prior experience and leaving a good impression on the hiring manager at the time. I ran a small vending machine business through university, so it gave me a bit of an in when applying for the role as it focused on small business lending and commercial mortgages. Fast forwards to the June of 2024. I had left my position at the bank and went into my role as a mortgage broker. At first, business was kind of slow. and money was slowly shrinking from not being able to source as many deals as I thought I could. I started off with close to 50k saved up in the bank in raw cash, minus investments and other assets. This left a very big mental strain on me, coupled with some serious issues Cass had that I will discuss later that tie in. Over time, however, I slowly gained traction to the point I now feel relatively more comfortable, but still want to do more, of course. Well, dude, you started a new business. I don't know what else you want. It's going to be slow, you know? A lot of the time with businesses that you make yourself, it is all about, it starts slow, and as it picks up, you know, you start to get in there. You start to see number go up eventually. You know, it's hanging in there and rocking with the punches. And most people don't rock with the punches, and they get knocked out, and they tap out and say, no, I've had enough. And that's fine, because not everyone has the capital to take it all away. But it seems like you did, and that you have, and that you've ridden out that wave, and now you're on your right path again. Alright. Right as I had left my job and switched roles, Cass had lost her job. She had this job for about 5 years at a local retail shop. It put her in a bad place emotionally and mentally, and gave her a feeling of not knowing what to do in life. She began to really cling to me for support, which I happily obliged to give. While this was going on, I was still hanging around with my friend group, whom I have had since I was in high school. I'm 26 now, and I've been friends with these guys for almost 12 years. We made a lot of good memories together, been there for each other, so honestly, I don't really know how it all went this bad. I'm guessing the lady is involved. Well, that's just me. What had happened was Cass's friend Julie, there we go, who had a history of ignoring Cass the moment she got into a relationship previously, had done it all over again, this time with my best friend Nick. We had set them up. I was ignorant of this past until all these issues started to surface, compounding with Cass's full-blown slide down in mental state, and my stress from not bringing in income. Things were tough. Cass told me everything that had gone on between her and Julie, and to be honest, it sounded a lot like Julie had seriously mentally manipulated Cass when she was at her lowest previously. Cass all but brought up the fact she felt that she was losing her best friend, and she felt ignored by her. Cass brought it up and was met with a barrage of things like, if you do this again, we can't be friends anymore. Things like that, from what I understand. Okay, Julie's ex broke up with her, and Cass was there for Julie, even after all the fights they'd been in the past. I had not known, at least I didn't know, the full-blown story until Julie started doing the exact same thing to Cass as she did in her previous relationship. If I would have known fully, I would have never set up my best friend Nick with her, but I did, and for better or worse, did it ever cause a mountain of shit for me to deal with down the road. Oh dear. Oh dear. Nick lost his father a few years ago to a very bad industrial accident. We had all been there for him, and I became very close friends with him, even moving in with him when I had a major argument with my parents a few years ago. We were as thick as thieves, as they say. We had always been close since high school, but became very close through university when I started at the bank. We told each other everything about our lives, and all the same things we had both gone through as kids, so we shared a special bond in that kind of trauma department. Nick was raised by his mother. His father was a coke dealer and had been locked up in prison for most of Nick's early life. He got out around the time we were midway through high school. His parents finally got married after all those years when we just graduated high school. And he turned over a new leaf, got into construction, and started to really make amends for himself. Unfortunately, however, he died in a very bad industrial accident, as I mentioned earlier, and Nick was exactly like his mum, very gossipy, spreading rumours, talking shit, the normal things old women tend to do. Oh, so Nick was like him? Was like her, sorry? Okay. He did this a lot with me through the years, to our good buddy Mike. It was done in a way of joking, really. He did this with all of us, myself, Nathan, Johnny, Alex, always an inside joke about Mike. It never really seemed malicious, we were just busting balls and having a laugh. I was complicit in it as well as being roped into it by bad judgment from when I was younger and doing the same thing. We always had a laugh at his expense due to Mike's egregious fuck-ups and general the world owes me something attitude. However, Over time, I started to ease off on it, but partially because I didn't. Because I didn't like it and it felt bad, and partly because I just thought I was above that kind of stuff by now. Okay, well, every male, friendship group has its whipping boy, but it's a very juvenile thing to do. I will agree. Yeah, every male group has its whipping boy, unfortunately. When Nick and Julie met and started dating, by the way, if you don't know who it is, it's probably you. I'm kidding. I'm kidding, of course. When Nick and Julie met and started dating, our good friend Nathan and Nick's cousin Barbara talked about Julie, saying she was a bit gross, an idiot, and a variety of other general insults. Barbara and Julie became good friends and started hanging out a lot more. What? What? Dude, there's so many fucking names in this. When Nick and Julie, so this is the guy who's your friend, right, met and started dating, our friend Nathan and Nick's cousin Barbara talked about Julie, saying she was gross, an idiot, and a variety of other general insults. Okay. Barbara, Nick's cousin, and Julie then became good friends and started hanging out a lot more, excluding Cass from doing things, and Cass really took notice. It hurt her feelings, and she felt like what had happened before was repeating all over again, and she was right. Nick and his Julie talked shit to us about Mike and his wife Alyssa, or another couple in the group. Mike and Alyssa talked shit about us to them. He manipulated both groups, talked a lot of shit about Cass, saying if Nick knew she was with a woman before, he'd never date her, implying that I cared that she'd kissed a girl once in high school, like it's the end of the fucking world, and does not void the wonderful times I had and still have with her to this day. Dude, that's a plus if anything. Girl with an open mind. As if the fucking toad thought it was his ace in the hole if things ever went sideways between me and him. Dude, this is the most toxic friend group I think I've ever read about. This is making me tired. Reading this is making me tired. Alright. Julie and her antics made Cass upset, and she would cry to me all the time. I will admit, North, I got upset sometimes, because between work and then coming home to somebody who was always upset, it felt like there was no end in sight to problems and issues. Compounded with the huge deal I was working on and all the stress it caused me, I was getting worse and worse until one night my mind just snapped. One night, when we were all at the bar with all of our friends, quote unquote, Cass got upset with me for some reason I can't even remember. We went outside to talk about it. It was something really minor, but Nathan walked up to me and Cass and said, "Hey, are you guys fighting?" I told him no, and to fuck off and mind his own business, in which he did and walked away after a few awkward seconds. Feeling completely embarrassed, I went upstairs to the bathroom, and as hard as I could, I punched the hand drying machine off the wall in rage. This was around early December of 2024. I started to pick up more business around January 2025 and got involved in a huge commercial mortgage refinance, $18 million worth to be exact. I thank my good partner John and Ralph for all of the help on it. They guided me through it and we got it done with a very nice payday. But being so heavily involved in it and without breaking my NDA due to some legal issues wrapped around the client, I can't give specifics. Well, you don't need to. But it was a deal covered in the local news in Canada for just how bad the client was. Keep in mind, I was dealing with all of this while the shitstorm that follows all happened around the same time. I looked at them both as role models for who I want to be. I'm guessing these are John and Ralph, right? Yeah. Both of them are around their mid-30s with multiple houses, a huge business, and stoic ambition in the business world, something I feel I am completely lacking in. I go through a lot of ups and downs in this business, and I'm even making good money, but I just feel hollow inside, like I don't know what I'm doing in life. I don't want to disappoint these guys, and I feel like I'm just not cut out for this some days. This all hit a flashpoint in late January of 2025 this year, when Mike and Alyssa from the friend group invited us over. They told us all the shit talking Julie and Nick had done behind our backs. It was a lot to take in, and feeling completely overwhelmed and honestly having this sense of not giving a fuck anymore, I turned around and told Mike and Alyssa the 10 plus years of the major shit talking Nick had done about the two of them. Everything from the general small things to the major ones, saying that Alyssa never let Mike come out at all, and those guys having an issue about it and hating Alyssa for it. Okay, dude, you're getting some of these paragraphs. You're becoming a bitch, right? These really long sentences that are just you bitching. Like, I'm not involved in your friend group, all right? So you saying this to me has no effect. Like, I don't care. Couldn't care less of a shit. All I need to know is that they're talking shit behind both of your backs and move on. You know, I'm going to skip that bit and move on to the next bit. I told Mike and Alyssa it would be best to sit down and have a table discussion with everybody involved to move forward and be friends. No! Here's the point. Beans, here's the point, mate, right? You're approaching this not as a man who likes peace. Okay? You're approaching this as... You sound like the kind of man who is addicted to drama. And this can happen. You can get dudes who are like this. Step away. Back away. Back away. Don't do... just cut them out. Silently. And when they ask, tell them why. Put the phone down. That's all you need. That is all you need. If he's been like this the entire time and he's being an absolute piece of shit to you, walk away. Okay? I had a friendship like this very recently. Okay? A few years ago, 2023 this happened, when I found one of my best friends bitching about me and my missus, right? You right? And my missus was the one who caught him. Yeah. And for a good while, I called him off. I put him in timeout. I was like, no, I'm not spending any time with him. Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy. No, I'm not doing that. Right? Since then, he's slowly come back into my life because he's apologised and we've moved on and whatever. But at the same time, the last time we spoke about it, I said to him, mate, we're friends and all that, but we'll never be what we were. Do you know what I mean? I'm sorry, but we'll never be what we were. So what do you mean? I was like, well, you know, this is the love of my life, right? She'd done nothing to you. And it wasn't like we had done absolutely nothing to deserve being bitched about. We're not perfect, don't get me wrong. Well, I'm not, she is. She's basically, you know, my missus is the kind of person who I don't think has ever hurt anybody ever, right? She split up with a few people because they weren't right for her, but that's not an evil thing to do, right? She was being honest, saying, listen, I don't love you anymore, I need to leave, right? That's fine. What I mean is, she's never wronged anybody, ever. I can touch wood saying that. I think that's true. She's the most lovely, like, naturally good person I've ever known. Yeah, I'm trying to think of one. No, I can't, right? And I can be a dick sometimes, but I'd done nothing at that stage to upset him, you know what I mean? What had happened was, my friend had invited some other friends to his do. This was his weekend getaway, right? And these were popular people, quote unquote, like he wanted to be in with, that he really liked. And he does have a tendency to play favourites. You know when you go to a company, and the company's always trying to attract new customers, and but the current customers are kind of neglected and don't give a shit about you. That's how he acts sometimes, right? So his old friends, he's like, you know, unless you're the only people there, then he's all over you. You can't do enough for you. But if there's somebody else in the room, like a new person who's quite popular, or even worse, a hot woman is around, he'll drop you like a hot brick and go and you know do that. So he was bitching about us to them. And what my missus said is that those people he was bitching about us to looked uncomfortable. They were like, they seem really nice to us, like, and he was trying to like rescue the conversation. Just as my missus walked in, she'd heard the entire thing, right? And just as she walked, so even then it wasn't working. So being a little bitch and acting like you're a sorority girl when you're a grown fucking man never works out. I'm telling you, Beans, never works out. So don't do it. Don't entertain this kind of behaviour. Just walk away. So whilst I am still friends with this person and I'm very fond of them, I have said, I've been very honest. I said, look, you know, we're not gonna To be fair, he stormed out when I said this. We were in a bar. We were in a bar in Liverpool, and he stormed out and went home. And I was all right, fine, and that is, whatever. But I just said to him straight, like, we're never going to be what we were, because, we did nothing to deserve that, and you've shown I can't trust you. So I'm very fond of people who in this bar, regulars in this bar. You're just one level above that. You're a friend of mine, but you're not in the inner circle anymore. Like, the inner circle is like for trusted people. For instance, I won't go out with him. If I'm with him on my own, I won't be there until the early hours in the morning. Not that I am anymore, because, I'm too old for that shit. But if it ever came about that I could go out till the early hours in the morning, I wouldn't with this guy if I was on my own, right? That kind of thing. Because I never know if he's going to leave me high and dry. I might get drunk, and then he goes off with some woman, unlikely, but he meets some woman that he likes, and then he leaves me high and dry, right? That kind of thing. He's the kind of guy who would dump me for a woman who's not interested in him. That's the kind of shit I can't get behind. Like, if I'm single, and I and a hot woman's there, I will make my excuse. I will say to my friend, "I'm going to go with this girl. We're going to go back to hers or mine or whatever. We're going to go to another bar on like an impromptu date. Do you mind?" And I'll take the judgmental, "Oh, fuck's sake, dude," But at least he knows where I am and what I'm doing, and that he's on his own, right? I would do shit like that, but only if it's like literally it's there, right? We're literally about to go and have some fun. We're about to go and have drinks. We're about to go and do this or do that, right? But I would never just disappear. And it would have to be an amazing woman for me to even entertain, even my friend. You know what I mean? But at the very least, I'd be like, "Yo, let's walk you back to your taxi, or let's walk you back to the bus, put you on the bus, go home," right? That kind of thing. You don't leave your bros hanging. But this dude would do it with women that either he's got no chance with, and they're just using him to pay for the drinks, or like they see him as like a brother, He's the kind of guy who'd be like, "Oh, little sis," and would like hug a girl and then try and pinch her ass playfully, because that's just what we do, It's our little relationship, and she looks really uncomfortable, that kind of shit. So yeah, I don't, you shouldn't invite this kind of stuff into your life. You really shouldn't, Beans. You should walk. And walk honestly. Just say, "Nah, man. Nah, we're done. We're done. I can't trust you. We can be friends, but you're not in the circle anymore. Fuck that shit." Anyway. Instead, they went and confronted Nick and Julie on their own. Dude, they did the right thing. Without me even being there to defend myself. Well, why do you need to defend yourself? Why? Nick manipulated the situation, making me look like somebody who just wanted to destroy the friend group as if I'm the jealous one. I could not and still do not give a flying fuck about the group or whatever pretentious brotherhood they thought to establish of shit-talking and fakery. They sat with the information for a week, and all of a sudden, at 2 a.m. on February the 14th, Valentine's night, I got a text from Mike and Alyssa saying, who had gone on vacation with their sister, broke down and told Mike to confront Nick. Dude, I'm not reading this anymore. Sorry. This is just going. This is like a really badly written soap opera that's just jumping around all over the fucking place. Nick said this, and then Mike said this, and then Toby said this, and it's hard to follow. It's hard to follow. All right. I'm going to skip a bit. There was one crucial piece of information that I did not tell Mike. Nick told us that when he and Mike lived together during university, Mike had explored different sexual options with a variety of different genders. I don't know if he ever told Elisa this, but I thought it would be best brought up with Mike and Alyssa on their own. Dude, you're a bitch. You're just like them. You're like them. Why are you doing this? Why? Okay, you're talking like... Ladies, please don't be offended. Please don't be offended. You're talking like a woman. Alright? I'm not a good one. Do you know there's women who are like, I don't care about her, I don't care about my friends. No. But then again, she said, and then they'll tell you this whole fucking rigmarole story. They'll tell you they don't care about somebody, and then they'll tell like a 3-hour story about them. because it means that little to them. That's what you've just done. You said, well, I'd care about their like fake brotherhood or whatever, and then you're still in it, bitching. You're still in it, telling people's business to other people that, you know, you can't fool me. Give me a sec. I need to clear my throat. Alright, you can't fool me. You can't. The thing is, though, I think you fooled yourself. I'm hoping this hobby nightmare will pull you out of this, right? I think you fooled yourself. Because you're exhibiting the exact same behaviour as them. You deserve each other. This is your wake-up call to step away, okay? You lot deserve each other. You're doing you're not really the victim here, Beans. You're doing exactly the same thing that they're doing. You're three couples, 6 people, all bitching about each other. You're 3 alliances that are all bitching about each other to each other. And one of you has emailed me in, that's you, trying to act like you're the wronged. It's like, no, dude, like, Cass in this is probably the only innocent, because like, she's having her friends like gibber off all the time, you know, the minute that they get with somebody, which is a shitty thing to do. But like, I went into this hobby nightmare thinking it was going to be the ladies who were the issue here. It's the men. It's the dudes. Like, why are you telling Mike's missus that he slept with a bloke back in the day? What does that get you? You were only doing this for malicious reasons. There is no other reason to tell Alyssa this information than you're being a bitch. You're bitter that Mike went to Nick and Nick convinced Mike that you're the bad guy somehow. You're bitter that that happened, as you should be, but the correct response is to tell the truth, right, of who you really are to both of them, and then say, and if you don't believe that, fine. Either way, go fuck yourselves. I'll go find some new friends. That's what you do. You cut them loose. You cut them loose. You say, hey, here's who I actually am. Here's what you said about me. Here's who I actually am. Here's how much of a piece of shit you are. Go fuck yourself. And you leave. Even if you're going to do it through text or email, whatever. Doesn't matter. Right? At this stage. What you don't do is buy into the game and start bitching and acting like them. You all deserve each other, dude. You really do. I thought it would be best brought up with Mike and Alyssa on their own. So you just thought it would be best that you'd be the one to let Alyssa know that Mike's taking it in the arse. Good for you. Do you not listen to yourself? Oh my god. I told Mike this after the fallout of this the next day, and told him specifically that he was retarded, and that there was a reason to wait for the table discussion, as before we had gone into it a few days before, I was going to inform him of this detail so we knew how to handle it, as we were all in agreement on the round table. I just couldn't say anything with Alyssa there for obvious reasons. After all this had gone on, the kicker is that Alyssa and Mike went to Tim's house with Cass and I to discuss what happened. Who's Tim? There's another guy now. They showed remorse, and we forgave them after brutally yelling at them in the parking lot. After the dust settled and Cass explained her side and my side, Alyssa said, and I quote, "Wow, the way you two explained it and how he explained it were 2 completely different things." No shit. The worst part is, and I don't even know if it is because of the fact that Nick has the fact Mike was bisexual at one point hanging over his head. Mike made Nick a groomsman in their wedding. We simply trusted the wrong people, and I feel backstabbed to this day. Truthfully, I have every fibre of my being inside me telling me to hate these people, but with all that's happened, I feel so mentally drained and exhausted, I just don't care. And I'll be sitting here to watch the fallout after their wedding, as who knows what the hell will happen. When I was dealing with that huge deal, the client in question, who really was that bad, also cancelled on me, losing almost 4 months of work with no pay, and all that suffering down the drain. I had a near mental breakdown in my car and pulled up to a nearby church and broke down at night in front of the statue of Jesus. It was that bad in my mind. Jesus, dude. Jesus, dude. Okay. All right. I want to be better at my job. I want this shit feeling of feeling like my strength and all my brain power has been sapped away to go away. I feel so tired, but I continue to fight every day and keep trying to build my business no matter what. Even when it feels the whole world is collapsing in on me. I don't know how to deal with all of this, and I don't know what to do to get it better. I don't want to let these guys down and become a failure. I don't want to fail myself and Cass. I want so much, but I feel like every day is a bit of a war. Any advice you would give would be greatly appreciated, North. Thank you for taking the time to read this. I tried to shorten it down as best I could. God bless and thank you for all you do. Beans. Okay, dude. Alright. Alright, I do have some advice. I've already said certain things. I do have some advice. Number one, get the fuck out of this friend group yesterday. Get out. Get out. Cut out everything that's making you feel even kind of like this. You are better off on your own with your missus than you are in this friend group. Be honest with your missus, be honest with Cass and say, listen, this is not right for me, right? I'm going to step away from this friend group. I love you to pieces. I'm still with you. We're fine. We're absolutely fine. I would rather you didn't hang out with them anymore because they're just going to bitch about me behind my back when I leave because they're not going to take me leaving very well, let's be honest, all right? So, you can stay. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I would rather we make this decision together and we go our own way and we find our own friends. We find new friends with blackjack and hookers, right? We find new friends. Do you know what it seems to me like your happiness is? Right? You said it before. Where is he? Where are they? What are their names? John and Ralph, right? Your partners there, John and Ralph, business partners. Those are the guys you want to be under the wing of. Those are the people whose approval you should be seeking, not Mike and fucking Nick and whoever these assholes are, right? They prove themselves to be assholes who bitch about each other behind their backs. Leave. Just leave. Say, I'm done. I'm done with this. I'm done with this. Silently. Don't blow it up. Just silently leave. Next time they want to hang out, you're busy. Next time they want to do something, nah, I'm working. Right? Do what makes you happy. And what seems to make you happy is your job. Clients cancelling on you and being assholes, yeah, okay, that's bad. But you seem to really enjoy your job. You seem to enjoy working under John and Ralph. Network. Get out there. Find more Johns and more Ralphs. They're everywhere, dude. I've been in the States. They're everywhere. These dudes, right? They're everywhere. You walk into random bars, you'll find dudes like this. To me, this is what you do, okay? You eject yourself quietly. You don't blow it up. You be a man about this shit. Be a bit more stoic. Be a bit more manly about this shit. You eject yourself from this friend group. So now I'm done. You be honest with Cass about it. Be honest about how it's made you feel. And be honest with the feelings you've got for Cass. Say, I love you dearly. We're okay. You make me happy. I don't need them. I want you. I don't need them. They can fuck off, right? And anyone... Tell her this as well. Anybody who backseats you just because they have a boyfriend or whatever is an idiot. Right, I'm here for you. And let's do this together. Let's just go find new friends together. Out there. Let's have fun. Right? You got your best friend. You got your missus. You know, invest in that. Invest in her. Say, yeah. No. If she makes you happy, invest in her. Say, okay, fuck them. Let's go our own way. And see what she says about that. You might be surprised. She might come back and go, yeah, I was waiting for you to say that. I was waiting for you to be a man and take the lead, is what she may be really saying. But, like, she might say, yeah, I was waiting for that. You know, or something similar. Of, oh, okay. Or she might just go along with it. Meaning, she's glad you've taken the lead and you're now going to get out of that toxic situation. If there's any resistance from her, just explain to her. Look, say, this is how I feel. This is how it makes me feel. And I will not be in a situation where it's going to make me feel that way. So, I'm not going to do it. You can do what you want. You're your own person. But just so you know, Cass, they are going to talk shit about me because I'm not there. And they will not take rejection easily. They're going to be really pissy about it and they're going to talk shit about me. So, if you want to be around that, it's up to you. but I don't. If you are as much of a team, I'm talking to you as I would with me and my missus, right? I've had mutual... this guy I was talking about earlier, right? Who's no longer in the circle, who, you know, who's bitching about us. My missus and I have both known him for a long time. And I said to her, I'm done. I don't want to be around him anymore. Right? And if he does earn his way back in, he'll never be back in. You know what I mean? He'll always be just on the periphery. And she said, okay. Okay. You know? I won't talk to him either. Fuck him. You know? You know? Because you're the person I want. You're my partner in this. Okay? So, yeah. Where you go, I go. And if you're not happy with this and you want to leave, then we'll go. We're a team, and we'll go. That's what a relationship is. If Cass doesn't want to do that, maybe it's time to examine the relationship as well. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying you should do anything, as in leave the relationship. I'm just saying, if you have this conversation with her, and she rabidly wants to stay with these friends, quote unquote, maybe you should look at that as well. You know, explain it, give it every chance, dude. Explain what you mean. This is not making me happy. They're making me miserable. I need to get out of this friendship group. I want you. You're amazing. And I want us to build something together. I want us to go find our own friends, our own happiness with blackjack and hookers, right? That's what I want to do. I want to get out of here. I want to work with John and Ralph. I want to build something for myself. And I'm in the process of doing that. Things are going all right. You just had that big deal, right? Yeah, right. You had that other one that didn't go well, but that's the nature of the beast, dude. Right? That's the market you're in. Lay it out for her and let her make a decision. But recognize you've made yours. I'm leaving. I'm now going to give you, Cass, what I'm going to do, so you know, and you can make your own decision as a woman, and we can discuss what we're going to do from there. But if you want to come with me and we'll go our own way, we'll just quietly excuse ourselves from this friend group. Next time they want to do something, we're busy. Next time they want to hang out, we're busy, right? And if they finally confront us and ask, lay it out. Tell them why. Tell them all you guys bring is fucking drama. You bitch about each other and us all the time. We're done. We're done. And leave. And again, I know you'll say, oh, I've known Nick for so long. Dude, sorry, I've known my friend for so long as well. We were like brothers before all this happened. But, no. The guy betrayed my trust once, he'll do it again. So he's out. Done. He wasn't drunk. Alright? For anyone who thinks that, no, he wasn't drunk. He wasn't on drugs. Nothing like that. He was sober. And he said some really horrible things about us behind our back. And so he's gone. That's it. You know? You don't owe anybody anything, dude. You don't. People change. Sometimes for the worse. Right? That is my advice to you. Let me know how it goes on. And I hope it goes well for you, man. It seems like you're a good bloke. It does seem like you're a good bloke. But certain parts of this hobby nightmare, I can see you starting to snap and become one of them. Don't do that. Don't get involved in bitchiness. That's some weird shit you're getting into there. Don't do that. Step away from the ledge. And, you know, those are changes you need to make, in my opinion. Focus on what's important. Your job and your relationship. Everything else can get fucked. Your job and your relationship. You like this channel, you must like Warhammer. If you don't, get into it. Right? You clearly got the money. Go and get yourself an army. Chill out. Okay? Chill the fuck out. And I think that, you know, you are really setting this up as like, I must be a mortgage broker. You can be a mortgage broker and like, you know, yeah, that's fine, dude. You know, you're a mortgage broker, but like, there will be lean times with jobs like that. You know? My ex-father-in-law is an accountant. Corporate accountant. There are lean times. There are times in the year where he doesn't do very much. There are other times in the year where he's doing everything, you know? And that's just how it goes. It's a gig economy, man. That's what you're in. So, Accept the lean times. You know, accept the fact that having upwards of 50k in the bank doesn't make you poor. Do you know what I'm saying? I would say, if you've got anything above 5 grand in savings just sitting there, and you're not eating into it constantly, you're doing well. You're doing well in the modern world. So, you know, and I don't even have that. I'm working my way towards that, but I don't even have that. You know what I mean? So, maybe it's a come to Jesus moment. Hopefully it is. I love you a long time. Have a wonderful rest of your day, folks. And I'll speak to you very, very... I'll speak to you tomorrow for some more 40k Rantage. All right? See you soon. Have a good one. Bye now.